bad, scary experiences with evil entities?
Most of the people I'm connecting with have gone through a process of a life review, of obtaining some sense of clarity and understanding. We had a very frightening experience. Our home actually started getting a bunch of paranormal activity.
For years, Tyler Henry has helped strangers and celebrities uncover their deepest secrets. But what if the most evil person he ever worked with left him more disturbed than anyone else? Tyler Henry has admitted that many readings are far longer than what viewers see and that some details can never be shared because of privacy agreements. That has sparked one haunting question. Did one client hide something so dark that Tyler Henry breaks his silence only after all these years? Follow the clues and uncover why this mystery still fascinates people today. The night everything began. Long before television cameras found him, Tyler Henry was just a small boy growing up in Hanford, California, a quiet farming town where nothing seemed unusual at all. His childhood looked ordinary from the outside, but inside, something strange was reportedly happening. From a very young age, he later said, he began sensing things that other children simply did not. The story that changed everything happened when he was only about 10 years old. One night, he reportedly felt a heavy and unexplainable feeling wash over him, a feeling he could not shake off. He told his family that something felt wrong, though he could not say exactly what. Not long after, the family learned that his grandmother had passed away, at almost the exact moment he had felt that strange sensation. For a young boy, this was more than confusing. It was frightening. How could he have known something like that before anyone told him? His family did not have an easy answer, and neither did he. Some relatives were unsettled, some were curious, and some quietly wondered if it was simply a coincidence. But to Tyler, it reportedly felt like something much bigger than chance. As the months passed, similar moments kept happening. He would sense sadness in a room before anyone spoke, or feel a strong pull toward a person who was hiding pain. Sometimes he would say things about people's relatives, only to learn later that those relatives had passed away years earlier. Each new experience added another layer to the mystery surrounding him. His family began to notice a pattern. These feelings were not random. They seemed to follow him everywhere, growing stronger instead of fading with time. Teachers noticed his quiet nature, and classmates sometimes noticed that he seemed to know things a child his age should not know. For Tyler, this was not something he had chosen. It was something that simply arrived, uninvited, in the middle of an otherwise normal childhood. By the time he reached his early teenage years, Tyler reportedly could no longer ignore what was happening to him. The sensations were too frequent, too vivid, and too personal to explain away. Whatever this strange ability was, it had already begun shaping the direction of his life, long before he ever stepped in front of a camera. Looking back now, that single night with his grandmother is often described as the spark that lit everything else on fire. It was the moment a young boy from a small town began a journey that would one day place him in rooms with grieving celebrities and skeptical audiences around the world. But what nobody knew yet was how difficult the road ahead would be, especially for a boy growing up in a place that was not ready to understand him. Growing up different. Hanford was a small, conservative community, and for a boy like Tyler, standing out was not always safe. As his experiences continued, so did the whispers. Some people in town found his claims fascinating, while others found them unsettling, even frightening, especially within a deeply religious environment where such abilities were viewed with suspicion. At school, things became harder. Classmates reportedly teased him, not only because of the stories about his unusual sensitivity, but also because he was open about being gay in a place where that was rarely accepted. The combination of both differences made him an easy target. Bullying became a regular part of his daily life, and the teasing sometimes crossed into cruelty. Religious criticism added another painful layer. Some community members reportedly viewed his abilities as something dangerous or forbidden, rather than something to be curious about. Being judged for his sexuality on top of that left him feeling isolated in a town that once felt like home. Eventually, the pressure became too much. Tyler reportedly experienced an incident at school serious enough that his family decided public school was no longer working for him. Details of the exact event have varied across interviews, but the outcome was clear. He needed a different path forward. His parents decided to homeschool him, hoping to give him a safer, calmer environment to grow. This decision reportedly changed everything. Away from the daily bullying, Tyler slowly began rebuilding his confidence. He had space to think, to breathe, and to explore his unusual abilities without constant judgment from classmates. During this time, he also began to understand himself more clearly, both his identity and his gift. Instead of hiding from what made him different, he slowly began to accept it. He reportedly started to see his sensitivity not as a burden, but as something that could eventually help other people who were suffering. This period of quiet reflection planted the seed for his future career. He began to believe that his experiences, painful as they were, might serve a greater purpose. If he could sense pain and loss in others, perhaps he could use that ability to offer comfort rather than fear. By the time he reached his late teenage years, Tyler had reportedly transformed from a bullied, uncertain boy into someone determined to help others heal. The very things that once made him a target were slowly becoming the foundation of his life's work. But turning personal pain into a career would take more than confidence alone. It would take opportunity, mentorship, and a very unexpected door opening in Hollywood. From $40 readings to Hollywood. Tyler's professional journey reportedly began in the most humble way possible, inside a small spiritual shop, offering readings for around $40 each. There was no fame, no cameras, and no certainty that this path would lead anywhere significant. He was simply a young man trying to turn his unusual sensitivity into something useful. Word slowly began to spread. Clients who visited him reportedly left feeling amazed, some in tears, others in shock, convinced that he had touched on something deeply personal. Local buzz grew quietly at first, one recommendation leading to another, until his name started reaching people outside his small circle. Along the way, several mentors reportedly took interest in his abilities and encouraged him to keep going. These early supporters believed there was something special in the way Tyler connected with grieving clients, something that could reach a much larger audience if given the chance. Then came the opportunity that changed his life completely. Producers reportedly discovered him and saw potential for a television show built entirely around his readings. This idea eventually became Hollywood Medium, a series that would introduce Tyler to a world far bigger than the small shop where he started. The show placed him directly in front of celebrities, many of whom were skeptical before their sessions even began. Cameras rolled as Tyler attempted to sense details about their lives, their families, and sometimes their deepest, most private losses. For viewers, watching a young man calmly deliver personal information to famous faces was both fascinating and controversial. Almost overnight, Tyler's life changed. He went from working with everyday clients to sitting across from actors, musicians, and reality stars, many of whom openly cried during their sessions. Hollywood Medium quickly became a talking point across entertainment media, and Tyler found himself thrust into a spotlight he had never experienced before. With fame came enormous pressure. Reading a stranger in private was one thing, but reading a celebrity on camera, in front of millions of viewers, was something else entirely. Every word he spoke could be scrutinized, dissected, and questioned by audiences searching for proof or looking for flaws. Despite the pressure, Tyler reportedly continued taking on new clients, each session raising his profile a little more. His calm demeanor and emotional delivery made him a unique presence on television, unlike the flashier psychics audiences had seen before. But the very thing that made him famous, close access to celebrities' private pain, would soon place him at the center of one of his most talked-about predictions ever, involving a beloved television star named Alan Thicke. The prediction that shocked everyone. Out of every reading Tyler Henry has ever given on television, one story is remembered more than any other: his session with much-loved actor Alan Thicke. At the time it aired, nobody watching had any idea that this ordinary-looking segment would one day become one of the most talked-about moments of his entire career. The reading began the way many of his sessions did: calm, friendly, and full of warmth. Alan sat across from Tyler with an open mind, curious but not fully convinced that anything unusual would happen. As the conversation continued, Tyler reportedly began focusing on Alan's health, and specifically on his heart. He described sensing pressure in that area of the body, along with a feeling of tightness that worried him. This type of warning was something Tyler had given before to other guests, using physical sensations to point toward possible hidden health issues. To him, this was simply part of how his readings worked. Alan reportedly reacted with gentle disbelief. He appeared to be in good health, active and full of energy, so the idea that something could be seriously wrong with his heart seemed unlikely to him. Like many celebrities before him, he treated the message with polite curiosity rather than fear. When the episode aired, it seemed like nothing more than another interesting moment on reality television. Some viewers believed the warning was meaningful, while others assumed it was simply a common guess, since heart-related concerns can apply to almost anyone. For a while, the segment slowly faded from public conversation. Then, only a matter of months later, devastating news shocked fans everywhere. Alan Thicke reportedly passed away suddenly after suffering a serious heart-related emergency. The news spread quickly, leaving behind a wave of sadness across the entertainment world as fans remembered his decades of beloved television work. As tributes poured in, many people reportedly began to recall his earlier appearance on Hollywood Medium. Clips of the original reading resurfaced online, with viewers pointing out how specific the warning about his heart had truly been. What was once seen as a simple television moment suddenly felt far more important and far more mysterious. This moment reportedly became a defining point in Tyler's career. Skeptics argued that mentioning heart problems was a common and somewhat safe prediction, one that could apply to almost any person of a certain age. Believers, however, focused on the timing, insisting that the accuracy could not be dismissed so easily. Whichever side people leaned toward, one thing became impossible to ignore. Tyler Henry was no longer just another face on reality television. He had become the center of a much larger conversation, one that questioned coincidence, timing, and whether some people truly could sense things beyond normal explanation. For years afterward, the Alan Thicke reading reportedly continued to follow Tyler, mentioned again and again in interviews and online discussions. It remained one of his most powerful moments, either proof of a real gift or, depending on who you asked, simply an unfortunate coincidence dressed up as something bigger. Yet, while this reading brought Tyler enormous attention, another session, far quieter and much less dramatic at the time, would eventually become just as unforgettable once the full truth about one particular guest was finally revealed to the world. The man whose secrets stayed hidden. Not every meaningful reading on Hollywood Medium arrived with instant drama. Some moments only became important years later, once new information changed the way people understood them completely. Tyler's session with television host Matt Lauer is one of the clearest examples of this pattern.
Henry's conversation with Lauer got a second life on YouTube after the anchor's firing, with the comment section filling with quips about Henry's inability to predict Lauer's legal woes.
When the episode originally aired, it reportedly felt calm and emotional, much like many other segments on the show. Tyler shared gentle messages, touching on family memories and personal reflections that seemed to comfort his guest. Matt appeared relaxed and open throughout the conversation, much like other public figures who sat across from Tyler hoping for connection or closure. At the time, nothing about the reading seemed unusual or suspicious. Viewers watched it the same way they watched most episodes, with curiosity rather than concern. It felt like just another heartfelt moment in a series built around emotional storytelling and personal revelations. Everything changed years later when Matt Lauer became the center of a major public scandal. Serious allegations reportedly surfaced against him, leading to his sudden and shocking departure from a major television network. The news stunned audiences everywhere, transforming a familiar and trusted face into a deeply controversial figure almost overnight. Once the scandal became public, many people reportedly returned to his earlier television appearances, searching for any small detail that might have hinted at hidden truths. Tyler's original reading with him quickly became part of that search, as viewers rewatched the footage closely, studying every word and expression for possible clues. Some viewers reportedly believed Tyler may have picked up on something troubling during the session, even if it was never spoken directly on camera. Others argued this was simply human nature, a tendency to search for hidden meaning after learning disturbing news. Without direct comments from Tyler addressing the situation, both possibilities remained open. This uncertainty became a major part of what made the story so compelling to so many people. Because much of the original reading was never fully shown to the public, audiences were left wondering what might have happened behind the scenes. Was there a moment removed from the broadcast? Something considered too sensitive or too complicated to air? Tyler, reportedly, has never directly confirmed sensing anything troubling during that specific reading. However, his general statements about client confidentiality only added to public curiosity, since he has said before that important details are often left out of the final television version of his sessions. For many fans, the reading with Matt Lauer became more than just a strange coincidence. It became a symbol of a much bigger idea, that television only ever reveals a small fragment of what truly happens during Tyler's private sessions with his clients. And that same idea, that so much remains hidden behind the cameras, leads directly into one of the most mysterious and unanswered questions of Tyler's entire career. The mystery behind the missing hour. One of the most important truths about Tyler Henry's television readings is simple. Viewers never see the entire story. Every episode of Hollywood Medium goes through heavy editing, shaped and trimmed down from a much longer and far more detailed original session. Tyler has reportedly discussed this reality in several interviews, explaining that full readings often last much longer than what audiences eventually see on screen. A conversation that appears to last only a few minutes may have actually taken close to an hour to complete, filled with details that never make it into the final broadcast. This heavy editing happens for practical reasons. Television programs must fit within strict time limits, and producers must decide which moments feel most powerful or emotional for viewers at home. However, this process also means that a large amount of information from each reading disappears completely before anyone watching ever gets to see it. Beyond simple editing choices, Tyler reportedly carries legal and ethical responsibilities to protect the privacy of his clients. Even if something significant is revealed during a session, he may be unable to share it publicly, especially when it involves sensitive family issues, private struggles, or information a client specifically requested to keep confidential. This combination, heavy editing paired with strict confidentiality, creates a powerful sense of mystery surrounding his work. If complete readings often stretch far longer than what airs, then a natural question follows. What actually happens during that missing time? Are there predictions the public never hears, emotional reactions never shown, or personal details considered far too sensitive to broadcast? For both fans and skeptics, this uncertainty is endlessly fascinating. Some believe the removed footage may contain even more impressive proof of his abilities. Others suspect the missing segments might reveal awkward, confusing, or inaccurate moments, ones producers likely chose to cut in order to protect the show's polished reputation. This mystery becomes especially intriguing when connected to rumors about one particular unnamed reading. According to various interviews and widespread online discussion, Tyler has reportedly hinted that among all his many sessions, one client left him feeling unusually disturbed, someone whose identity he has never fully revealed or explained in detail. Because so little solid information exists about this specific claim, curiosity surrounding it has only grown stronger over time. Was this a real and specific reading that truly happened? Or has online speculation slowly stretched a small, vague comment into a far bigger story than it was ever meant to be? Whatever the truth may eventually turn out to be, this idea that hidden information exists somewhere within his unreleased recordings adds yet another layer of mystery to an already complicated career. It suggests that even after years of public appearances, the complete picture of Tyler's experiences remains far from finished. That unanswered question about a reading reportedly darker than anything ever shown on screen sets the stage perfectly for examining the moments when Tyler's abilities faced their harshest and most public criticism. When Tyler got it wrong. For every reading that made Tyler Henry famous, there were others that brought sharp criticism instead of praise. Not every session on Hollywood Medium ended with tears of amazement. Some ended with confusion, doubt, and public disagreement about whether his abilities were real at all. One of the most discussed examples involved his reading with reality star Khloe Kardashian. During the session, the conversation reportedly touched on her relationship with basketball player Tristan Thompson, a relationship that had already faced public struggles due to widely reported cheating scandals. Viewers watching closely wondered whether Tyler had truly sensed hidden truths about the relationship or whether he was simply working with information that was already widely known through tabloids and entertainment news. This became one of the central criticisms aimed at Tyler throughout his career. Skeptics reportedly argued that because his clients were often famous, information about their personal lives was already public before the reading even began. If Tyler mentioned relationship troubles that had already appeared in magazines or online gossip columns, was that truly a psychic revelation or simply an educated guess dressed up as something mystical?
I'm Boy George. I'm a singer, an artist, DJ. I heard about Tyler through my manager. He was really keen for me to do it.
Another difficult moment reportedly involved his reading with musician and television personality Boy George. This session, like several others, drew mixed reactions from viewers. Some felt that Tyler successfully connected with meaningful personal memories, while others felt the reading was vague, general, and easily applied to almost anyone experiencing grief or personal struggle. Critics argue that psychic readings often rely on cold reading, using broad statements and careful observation to seem highly personal without supernatural abilities. They also point to reality television editing, noting viewers only see selected moments. By leaving out incorrect guesses and uncertain pauses, producers can make an ordinary reading appear far more convincing than it really was. These moments of doubt reportedly challenged Tyler's credibility more than almost anything else in his career. While emotional successes brought him fame, these controversial readings gave skeptics powerful examples to point toward whenever his abilities were questioned publicly. Still, Tyler's supporters reportedly argue that no psychic, medium, or intuitive person could be expected to achieve complete accuracy in every single reading. They believe occasional mistakes or vague moments do not automatically disprove his overall ability, especially given the emotional and unpredictable nature of grief itself. This ongoing disagreement between belief and skepticism has followed Tyler throughout his entire public career. For every emotional success story, there is reportedly a counter-argument questioning whether coincidence, research, or clever television editing played a bigger role than any real psychic connection. This same emotional weight of carrying both praise and criticism for years may explain something deeper about Tyler's private struggles, ones that go far beyond simple public debate about whether his gift is real. The price of carrying other people's secrets. Beyond the fame, the television appearances, and the endless public debate, Tyler Henry has reportedly spoken about a much heavier and more personal cost tied to his work: the emotional weight of carrying other people's pain, grief, and long-buried secrets on his own shoulders. In various interviews, Tyler has reportedly described how difficult it can be to constantly connect with grief, trauma, and deeply personal family secrets, session after session, year after year. Unlike an ordinary job, his work does not simply end the moment cameras stop rolling. Each reading reportedly leaves behind emotional residue, feelings, and images that do not disappear the instant a session concludes. Constant exposure to sadness, loss, and unresolved family pain reportedly takes a serious toll over time. Tyler has suggested that absorbing so much emotional weight from other people can feel overwhelming, especially when sessions involve particularly painful topics like sudden death, family betrayal, hidden abuse, or long-buried secrets that clients never expected to surface again after so many years of silence. This emotional burden reportedly extends far beyond simple exhaustion or tiredness after a long day of filming. Tyler has spoken about the deep responsibility he feels to handle sensitive information with extreme care and respect. Because clients often share deeply private details during readings, sometimes things they have never told another living person, He reportedly believes protecting their trust is one of the most important parts of his entire career, sometimes even more important than public curiosity, ratings, or television success. This sense of responsibility reportedly explains why so much information from his readings never becomes public knowledge. Even when audiences desperately want more details, especially regarding shocking or mysterious sessions that hint at something bigger, Tyler has reportedly chosen silence over exposure, believing that some truths are simply too painful, too personal, or too damaging for the people involved if ever revealed to the wider world. This raises an important question that has followed him throughout his entire career. Are some secrets kept purely out of respect for privacy? Or are some kept because revealing them could cause real, lasting harm to the people connected to them? Tyler himself has reportedly suggested that certain information uncovered during his readings falls into exactly this category. Details he considers far too sensitive to ever discuss publicly, no matter how much pressure he receives. This idea connects directly to the central mystery surrounding this entire documentary. The rumored reading involving someone Tyler has hinted was unusually disturbing. If his general comments about emotional burden and confidentiality are accurate, it becomes far easier to understand why such a serious claim might remain permanently unexplained, buried somewhere between fact and speculation. Perhaps, according to this theory, the identity of this mysterious individual is being protected not out of fear, but out of the same sense of responsibility Tyler has expressed consistently throughout his career, a belief that certain secrets should remain exactly that, secret, no matter how curious the public becomes. Whether this explanation satisfies public curiosity or not, it offers meaningful insight into why Tyler may choose silence, even when pressured repeatedly by fans, journalists, and media outlets desperate for answers. And this exact silence, built from years of emotional caution and quiet professional responsibility, leads directly into the final unanswered question surrounding Tyler's most mysterious reading of all time. Did Tyler finally reveal the truth? After exploring Tyler Henry's entire journey, from a confused young boy in Hanford to one of the most recognized names in television psychics, one central mystery remains only partly answered. The identity of the person he has hinted was the most disturbing client he ever encountered. Throughout this documentary, several important patterns have emerged. Tyler's readings are heavily edited before airing, meaning audiences never see the complete version of any session. He has also spoken openly about legal and ethical responsibilities that prevent him from revealing certain private details, regardless of public curiosity or pressure. At the same time, it is important to separate verified information from widespread internet speculation. While Tyler has reportedly made general comments suggesting that one particular reading disturbed him deeply, he has never publicly confirmed a specific name, date, or detailed description of exactly what happened during that session. This lack of concrete confirmation has allowed rumors to grow rapidly across social media and online forums. Various names have reportedly been suggested by fans over the years, though none have ever been officially confirmed by Tyler himself. Without direct statements clarifying the situation, much of what circulates online remains speculation rather than fact. What can be reasonably confirmed is this: Tyler has spoken generally about carrying heavy emotional burdens, protecting client confidentiality, and choosing silence over public exposure when necessary. These consistent statements support the idea that at least one deeply disturbing reading likely did occur at some point during his career, even if its full details remain unknown. However, whether this vague acknowledgement has been stretched far beyond its original meaning is a fair and important question. Internet culture often takes small, ambiguous comments and transforms them into much larger, more dramatic narratives. This leaves us with two reasonable possibilities. Either Tyler is genuinely protecting deeply sensitive information about a real and troubling reading, choosing silence out of respect and responsibility, or a small, vague comment has been dramatically expanded by public curiosity into a mystery far bigger than the original statement ever intended. Both explanations remain possible, and without further public statements directly from Tyler, a definitive answer may never fully surface. This uncertainty, in many ways, mirrors his entire career, filled with moments of apparent accuracy, public skepticism, emotional vulnerability, and information that always seems just slightly out of reach. Perhaps that unresolved tension is exactly what has kept audiences fascinated with Tyler Henry for so many years. His story blends genuine emotional connection with unanswered questions, believable moments with valid skepticism, and public fame with deeply private boundaries he refuses to cross. So the question remains open for now. Is Tyler Henry quietly protecting a genuinely disturbing secret from his past? Or has the internet, driven by curiosity and speculation, turned one small, unclear comment into a mystery far larger than the facts have ever truly supported? If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.